viewers, yes, this is Ranjana ma'am and you are watching, yes, it's mine as well as your channel. And I've been getting quite a few requests from my Icse students regarding the story written by Ray Bradbury. So you know what I'm talking about, the Pedestrian. So yes, here I am. But before I start, you know what's coming. If you have not subscribed to my channel up till now, please do, and don't forget to press the like button. So I get appreciations but not the like button. Please do. So without wasting any more time, let's start. So what is this story about, the Pedestrian? So the author, Ray Bradbury, he is one of the most celebrated authors of the 20th century, rather the 20th century American authors. So mostly he is noted for his science fiction. So this one is also, the Pedestrian, is set in a dystopian future. So the main character, the central character or the main protagonist, Leonard Mead, he is picked up and questioned why. Because he was taking a walk. So walking around alone is supposed to be regressive behavior, and that is why they send him to an asylum. So what is the message that the author is trying to tell through this story? So the story depicts the dangers of isolation and the absence of community. Yeah, we are all getting so addicted to these electronic gadgets. Suppose in a room there are five people sitting in 5 different places with the mobile. No communication. Forget communication with your neighbors. Forget communication or relations with your relatives. There was a time when the weekends would be visited by relatives or you would go and visit. So those have become backdated. When you get down or get up, maybe you meet a neighbor. But we really don't enjoy when neighbors come to visit us. Maybe because of you feel it's an intrusion into your privacy, or you are not happy, you are watching some serial in the television. So we are becoming dependent on mechanisms. So science, we are depending on the machines too much. So as a result, what happens? That we are heading towards isolation, the dangers of isolation, absence of community life. So naturally, we can say that our forefathers were much more happier. They did not have these gadgets which ease their work. But at the same time, they had this community life. They enjoyed living together, communicating with each other. Whereas now, yes, all our works are done by machine, but at the same time, every man is an island now. This is the prophecy of what might happen if we continue with our increasingly self-obsessed, self-contained life. Yeah, we are obsessed with our own lives only. No time to think about others. Busy. You do your work and we are busy with our cell phones. The remaining time, the leisure time, whether it's the son or whether it's the daughter or the parents, everyone, each one of them, they have a mobile in their hands, and no communication between the family members. So this is what he's warning. The author is warning that we are heading towards a dystopian society, a dystopian future, where there will be nothing but suffering. So if we summarize the story, then it is that Leonard Mead, he is a citizen of 2053. That means in the future, futuristic. And he is enjoying a walk. He loves walking through the city at night, whereas no one else really enjoys walking. They are shut up in their homes. So he keeps on walking, but he doesn't give up this habit, though he doesn't find anyone in the road, but he enjoys walking. So 10 years of walking by day or night for thousands of miles. He had never met another person walking. Not one in all that time. Whether it is day or night, he doesn't meet any co-walker along with him. So what happens on one of his usual walks, a police car comes and stops, questions him, and this police car, there is no human inside. It is a robotic car. And this is the only police unit in a city of 3 million. Why? Only police car. Why? Because the law enforcement has disappeared, because people don't come out of their houses. They are in their houses watching television at night. So no one out to commit a crime. So the police cars are not needed. And when this robotic car questions Mr. Leonard Mead that what is your profession, so he tells he is a writer. But in his time, no one reads storybooks, so this profession is as if gone out of use. So the car thinks, or the robotic car thinks, that this man is without a profession. Why? Because it is expected that in those times no one will buy books or magazines, because it is dominated by television. That is what he had written. But nowadays we find it's not the television also, just not television, but mobiles, laptops. We are glued to it. The police car has no occupants, and it is unable to comprehend why Mead should be walking out for no reason. So then he feels that then the car feels that this person must be having regressive tendencies, so let us pick him up and send him to the asylum for treatment or research. So as the car passes through his neighborhood, Mr. Mead, who is locked up in the back seat of the car, suddenly sees his own house. So he says, "That's my house," he points out. And how does his house look in comparison to the other houses in the locality, in the neighborhood? A warm, bright house. All the lights on. Very unlike the other houses in the neighborhood. But no one answers, because he is all alone in that car. And this is how the story comes to an end. So now let's go to the main story. I'll explain to you line wise. So the pedestrian, to enter out into that silence. That was the city at 8 o'clock of a misty evening in November. To put your feet upon that buckling concrete walk, to step over grassy seams and make your way, hands in pockets, through the silences. That was what Mr. Leonard Mead most dearly loved to do. So he is the central character. Rather, he is the only character. And the other character is that of the robotic car with no occupant inside. Machine operated car. So what did Mr. Mead like to do most? What did he dearly love? To walk on the grassy seams with his hands in his pockets. He would stand upon the corner of an intersection, so the roads when they cross each other, intersection, and peer down long moonlit avenues of sidewalks in 4 directions. One direction, so in the center, and going in 4 directions, not south, east, west. So he would stand upon the corner of an intersection and peer down long moonlit avenues of sidewalk in 4 directions, deciding which way to go. So he would stand at the intersection and think, which way should I go? That side, which way? But it hardly made any difference. But it really made no difference. Why? He was alone in this world of AD 2053. So this gives you the idea that it is a futuristic society. Or as good as alone. Because there are people, he is not the only one who is alive, but they are confined in their houses. And he is the only one who is outside. He is the only person not in his house. And with a final decision made, a path selected, he would stride off, sending patterns of frosty air before him like the smoke of a cigar. Why? Because it's quite cold. And when he exhales, so the patterns of frosty air before him. So yes, frosty air, like the smoke of a cigar. Sometimes he would walk for hours and miles and return only at midnight. So if he takes a long journey, if he goes on walking, so the returning will also take the same time. So he would return at midnight to his house. No problem, there is no one else in his house to be bothered because he is not a married man. And on his way, he would see the cottages and homes with their dark windows. And it was not unequal to walking through a graveyard where only the faintest glimmer of firefly light appeared in flickers behind the windows. So he compares these houses in the neighborhood to the graveyard. When you walk through a graveyard, it's so dark. And he says it's the same. Walking through the neighborhood, the houses with their windows shut and no light coming, only from maybe small piercing light he would see, and otherwise the dark windows. So he is comparing these lights to the glimmers of firefly light. Sudden grey phantoms seemed to manifest upon inner room walls where a curtain was still undrawn against the night. So in most of the houses the curtains were drawn. But in some houses where the curtain was still undrawn, so he would see maybe a figure of someone standing, but no one outside. All the people, they are inside, tightly packed or confined to their homes, watching television. Or there were whisperings and murmurs where a window in a tomb-like building was still open. So occasionally he would find a window open, not yet closed. So the murmuring or whispering of the inmates would come out. So these are the things he would either hear or see on his walking. While he was walking, he would hear or see these. So these are the only things which would make him aware that there is still life. He is not the only person alive, but there are others also. But no one coming outside like him. No one wishing to go for a walk at night. Mr. Leonard Mead would pause, cock his head, listen, look, and march on, his feet making no noise on the lumpy walk. So he would walk silently or soundlessly. For long ago he had wisely changed to sneakers. These sneakers don't make sound. Changed to sneakers when strolling at night. Why? Why had he changed to sneakers? Because the dogs in intermittent squads would parallel his journey with barkings. Just try to imagine. He is walking, his shoes are making noise, and side by side the dogs are also walking and barking at him. So to avoid this, he would wear sneakers so that it wouldn't make any sound. So it wouldn't alert the dogs. Because he hated the parallel journey of the dogs, because they wouldn't just journey with him, but they would bark also. If he wore hard heels, and lights might click on and faces appear, and an entire street be startled by the passing of a lone figure himself in the early November morning. Or maybe the shoes when they made noise, so people would light up So they might click light on his face, wanting to know who is this person walking all to himself in early November evenings when all the others are packed in their houses. On this particular evening, he began his journey in a westerly direction towards the hidden sea. So which direction? Westerly direction towards the hidden sea. There was a good crystal frost in the air. It cut the nose and made the lungs blaze like a Christmas tree inside. So what similes? Made the lungs blaze like a Christmas tree inside. So as if you are having a Christmas tree inside you and it is blazing. You could feel the cold light going on and off. All the branches filled with invisible snow. So this is quite a cold night. He listened to the faint push of his soft shoes through the autumn leaves with satisfaction. He is satisfied my shoes are not making sound. My soft shoes, they are not making any sound. He is very satisfied. And whistled the cold, quiet whistle between his teeth, occasionally picking up a leaf as he passed, examining its skeletal pattern in the infrequent lamplights as he went on, smelling its rusty smell. So he would pick up a leaf. This is what he would do in the course of his walking. He would pick up a leaf, smell it. Hello in there, he whispered to every house. He's not saying loudly, he's just whispering so that they don't hear, but he hears it. Every house and every side as he moved. What's up tonight on Channel 4, Channel 7, Channel 9. So he is ridiculing them for their habit of watching TV instead of coming out and breathing the fresh air, inhaling the fresh air. They are glued to the television set. So that is why he is as if whispering. What are you watching? What is Channel 4 showing today? Or what is Channel 7 showing today? What is Channel 9 showing today? Because he knows that these people who are locked up inside, they must be busy watching any of these channels. Where are the cowboys rushing? And do I see the United States cavalry over the next hill to the rescue? So these are the things he whispers, but he doesn't dare to say it loudly. He doesn't want to disturb anyone. The street was silent and long and empty because no one is outside. You won't find any vehicles also outside, with only his shadow moving like the shadow of a hawk in mid-country. What a comparison. He is comparing his shadow to the shadow of a hawk in mid-country. If he closed his eyes and stood very still, frozen, he could imagine himself upon the center of a plain, a wintry, windless Arizona desert with no houses in 1,000 miles and only dry river beds, the streets for company. So what imaginations. So, closing his eyes, he would feel I'm in the middle of Arizona desert and no houses. Why? Because the houses are there, but they don't make any sound. There is no light. So it seems as if they don't exist only. So this place is as if like Arizona desert. What is it now? He asked the houses, noticing his wristwatch. 8:30 p.m. Time for a dozen assorted murders. A quiz? A review? A comedian falling off the stage? So what is it now you're watching? It is 8:30, so what are you watching now? Was that a murmur of laughter from within a moon-white house? And then suddenly he hears some laughter. So he feels, yeah, from that moon-white house. Does the sound of laughter come from that house? He hesitated, but went on when nothing more happened. So he just hears one laughter and nothing else. So then he continues his walk. He stumbled over a particular uneven section of sidewalk. The cement was vanishing under flowers and grass. In 10 years of walking by night or day for thousands of miles, he had never met another person walking. Not once in that time. So you get to know how long has his walking practice, for how long did he keep on walking? For the last 10 years. Every night. He has been walking through the streets, but he has not met another person. And he says not even during daytime. So he has covered, if we calculate every day, night he covers so many miles. So in that way he must have covered thousands of miles. But in all this journey, he is the lone figure, only person. He came to a cloverleaf intersection which stood silent, where two main highways crossed the town. During the day, it was a thunderous surge of cars. So during the day, this place is alive. The gas stations open, a great insect rustling and a ceaseless jockeying for position, as the scrap beetles, a faint incense sputtering from their exhausts, skimmed homeward to in the far directions. So he is talking of the highways, how they are crowded during daytime. But now these highways, but what about the highways at night? How does it look? Now these highways too were like streams in a dry season. Not all highways are crowded, but the one where he is standing, these are crowded during daytimes, but during night were like streams in a dry season. So in a dry season, what happens? The streams also dry up, all stone and exposing the riverbed. Streams are small rivers and moon radiance. He turned back on a side street, circling around towards his home. So now it's time to return. He was within a block of his destination, so quite close, when the lone police car, turned the corner quite suddenly and flashed a fierce white cone of light upon him. So a light from the car comes and falls on his face. He stood entranced, not unlike a night moth, stunned by the illumination and then drawn towards it. Not and unlike, two negatives. That means how does he stand? Like a night moth. So night moth, they get attracted by the light. And however you try to drive it, it will go towards the light and get burned. So he stands in that way, attracted by the light coming from the car. A metallic voice called to him, "Stand still, stay where you are, don't move." So metallic voice orders him to remain at his place and not to move. He halted. "Put up your hands." "But," he said, "your hands up or we'll shoot." So what an order. Either you put your hands up or we will shoot. So there is no other option left for him but to put his hands up, but to put his hands up. The police, of course. But what a rare, incredible thing. Why? In a city of 3 million, there was only one police car left. Wasn't that correct? Ever since a year ago, 2053. So this is 2053. Year ago means 2052. The election year. So after the elections, what had happened? The police force had been cut down from 3 cars to 1. So earlier, before 2052 or before the election year, there were 3 police cars. In a population of 3 million, there were 3 police cars, and then it has been cut down to only 1. So the lone police car. Crime was ebbing. So why police cars cut down? Because no crimes are being committed. People are all inside their houses. No one commits any crime. Not only that, machines are controlling everything. So just see, he's just going on a walk and the police car comes and stops him. So how will people commit crimes if there is no one outside? They are all safely tucked in their rooms. There was no need now for the police, save for this lone car wandering the empty street. So the police patrolling, only one car, and that also a robotic car, no human being inside. "Your name?" said the police car in a metallic whisper. He couldn't see the men in it for the bright light in his eyes. So at first he feels there must be men inside, but he couldn't see them. "Leonard Mead," he said. "Speak up." That means speak loudly. "Leonard Mead, business or profession? So what is your profession?" I guess you'd call me a writer. So he is a writer. So just see the remark for his profession. No profession, said the police car as if talking to itself. So the police car must be taking down notes. So writer is being termed as a person with no profession. The light held him fixed like a museum specimen, needle thrust through chest. So how does the light keep him glued in one place? As if he is inspected, as if he is some museum specimen and he is being inspected. You might say that. So what does he say? You might say that when the police car, as if talking to himself, talking to itself, says no profession. So he agrees. Yes, you might say that. He hadn't written in years. Why? Because no one reads nowadays. He was a writer, but now he doesn't write. Why? Because there is no one to buy his magazines, buy his articles. There is no one to buy his stories. Magazines and books didn't sell anymore. Everything went on in the tomb-like houses at night now, he thought, continuing his fancy. So in the tomb-like houses at night, what? No one read books, no one read magazines, they all watched television. The tombs ill-lit by television lights, so all the other lights switched off. That is why from outside it seemed so dark. Only the television lights, sometimes it would be flickering through the curtains. The curtains were also drawn. So if in some house the curtains were still not drawn, then some light would come out, or some sound of laughter or whispering or muttering might come out if the windows were not yet closed. Where the people sat like the dead, the grey or multicolored lights touching their faces, but never really touching them. No profession, said the phonograph, his voice hissing. What are you doing out? So if you don't have any profession, why are you outside? Walking, said Leonard Mead. Walking, so it's surprising. They haven't seen anyone walking other than this Leonard Mead. So it's so strange. Just walking, he said simply, but his face felt cold. Walking, just walking, walking. Yes, sir. Walking where? For what? So why are you walking? For what are you walking? Walking for air, walking to see. So I'm walking to get some fresh air. I want to see the surroundings. That is why I'm walking. Your address? 11 South St. James Street. And there is air in your house. You have an air conditioner, Mr. Mead? Yes. And you have a viewing screen in your house to see with? Television. No. So he doesn't have a television. Yes, he has air conditioning, but no television. No. There was a crackling quiet. That in itself was accusation. That means, what? You don't have a television. Shocking. Are you married, Mr. Mead? No. So they think, what a type. This must be a really typically a psychiatric case. Not married, said the police voice behind the fiery beam. So this is another anomaly. He is not married. He doesn't have a television set at home. In the night he keeps on walking through the streets. Regressive tendencies. The moon was high and clear among the stars and the houses were grey and silent. And the windows tightly shut. No noise comes out. No light comes out. Grey and silent like that of a tomb. Nobody wanted me, said Mead with a smile. That is why I am unmarried. No one wanted to marry me. Don't speak unless you're spoken to. So the metallic car doesn't enjoy the joke. Not amused. So don't speak unless we ask you. Leonard Mead waited in the cold night. Just walking, Mr. Mead. So they are confirming. Yes, but you haven't explained for what purpose. He has done it, but they don't believe it. I explained for air, to see and just to walk. Have you done this often? Every night for years. For the last 10 years he has been doing it. The police car sat in the center of the street with its radio throat faintly humming. "Well, Mr. Mead," it said. "Is that all?" he asked politely. So now he wants to go home. So he's asking, "Have you completed your questioning? That means, can I leave?" "Yes," said the voice. "Here." There was a sigh, a pop. The back door of the police car sprang wide. So the back door of the police car opens up. "Get in." So this is the order given to Leonard Mead. So he is not allowed to return to his home. Instead, he is ordered to get inside the car. "Wait a minute, I haven't done anything. So why are you telling me to get inside?" "I haven't done anything. I haven't done any harm." "Get in. I protest." "Mr. Mead." He walked like a man suddenly drunk. As he passed the window of the car, he looked in. So when that voice becomes threatening, so he walks in. He has no other option but to walk in. As he expected, there was no one in the front seat, no one in the car at all. So the car is being controlled by, it's a robotic car. So the car is being controlled from the headquarters by someone. "Get in." He put his hand to the door and peered into the back seat, which was a little cell, a type of prison, a little black jail with bars. It smelled of riveted steel. It smelled of harsh antiseptic. It smelled too clean, hard and metallic. Nothing human here. So the back seat was a type of prison cell. There was nothing soft there. "But if you had a wife to give you an alibi," said the iron voice. So now if you had a wife, she could have given you an alibi that yes, you every night you go for a walk and you come back home, nothing doing, no nonsense. But you don't have a wife. "Where are you taking me?" The car hesitated, or rather gave a faint whirring click as if asking for information. What should I tell this man? Somewhere was dropping card by punch slotted card under electric eyes. So he gets the information and the car gets the information and then it delivers the information to Mr. Mead, to the Psychiatric Center for Research on Regressive Tendencies. So this car is taking you to the Psychiatric Center for Research on Regressive Tendencies. So his behavior is being termed as regressive. Why? Because he walks at night, he doesn't have a television in his house, he has no wife. He got in, the door shut with a soft thud. The police car rolled through the night avenues, flashing its dim lights ahead. They passed one house on one street a moment later, one house in an entire city of houses that were dark. So the house which they pass now, that is very different from the other houses. Why? Because all the other houses, they look like tombs. So what is special about this house? But this one particular house had all its electric lights brightly lit. Every window a loud yellow illuminations, square and warm in the cool darkness. That means the curtains are undrawn, so the light can be seen from outside and all the lights, whereas in the other houses only the TV lights were visible. So he is very different from the others. So this is again another regressive behavior. "That's my house," said Leonard Mead. Yeah, you can expect this from him. He is very different. No one answered him. Why? Because there is no one there in the car. The car moved down the empty riverbed streets and off away, leaving the empty streets with the empty sidewalks. No sound, no motion, all the rest of the chill November night. So, no sound to be heard, no movements. Why? Because there is no one in the streets. Everyone are in their homes. They are packed in their homes, watching television. And that is supposed to be normal in 2053. And what Mr. Leonard Mead does, that is supposed to be a normal behavior. regressive tendencies, and that is why he is being put in this robotic police car and being taken to the psychiatric center for treatment. What a strange thing. So if we remain too much addicted to our machines, if we give them priority, then we are heading towards a dystopian future. You know what dystopian means? A society where there is a lot of suffering and no one is happy. So machines will, maybe they might relieve our work stress, but at the same time they are not giving us happiness. Think of our ancestors. They might have had to work a lot, but they were happy. They had community life, and the works which they did, yes, they were happy doing it. And they did not have any television, but they enjoyed walking, they enjoyed talking to each other. All the things which will not be there in the future. Even now it has crept in. We are all an island. Each one of us, we are an island. So this is as if a warning that if we are too self-centered, only bothered about ourselves and no community life, then we are heading towards a dystopian future. And finally, the machines will take control over us, and then they will only decide which will be our proper place, in a research center to be observed for regressive behavior, or maybe confined in the houses. So this is what the story is about, and if you have any questions regarding it, you can always put it in the comment box. I keep on reading, though not every day, but yeah, 2 or 3 days, gap of 2 or 3 days, and then I watch them, and if I find you need some answer, I always try to give them. But for the time being, I bid you goodbye, and don't forget this one.